What is up, you guys? This is MB Cash back with a brand new video. As you can see, I'm going back to doing figure reviews, but still sticking with this month's Phantom of the Opera theme. So what I have here are two Phantom of the Opera figures. On the left is a 1999 Sideshow Collectibles figure, and on the right is a 2012 Diamond Select figure. Both of them are of Lon Chaney as the Phantom of the Opera from the classic Universal Studios silent horror film version. Now, this version of Phantom is my favorite, and to me it's the definitive Phantom adaptation. And Lon Chaney is just the best, greatest Phantom actually of all time. He's just so iconic, just that makeup and his performance, just everything. You know, when I think of Phantom of the Opera, one of the first things that comes to mind is Lon Chaney, and then after that is the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. And these are just really awesome action figures that I just happen to have in my collection because, again, I'm a big Phantom fan. So what I've decided to do is, for this week's Phantom review, is review these two figures. So let me go ahead and start with this guy right here. So let me move this guy over to the side and bring this guy up close. So, whoops, I'm about to fall there. Let me fix him. There we go. Much better. So now let me get my fingers in the way. There we go. Let me zoom in. Much better. Look at that. Just look at that face. So this is the Sideshow Collectibles figure from their Universal Monster line. This one came out back in 1999. I got this as a Christmas gift back in, I want to say, 2007. Now, there are three versions of this figure. There's a standard version, then there's a silver screen version, which is a black and white figure. So it's painted to look like it was in a black and white movie, since most of the movies in the Universal Classic Monsters franchise were done in black and white. And then there was a color variant of the silver screen version, and this is what we're taking a look at right now. Now, the difference between this version and the standard version, both are in color. The standard version had a completely different head sculpt, and I've seen pictures of it online, and I've even seen one in person, and honestly, in my opinion, doesn't look anything like Chaney. This one, however, is a lot better. Again, this is a colored variant of the silver screen version, so that version had a completely different head sculpt and much more accurate to Lon Chaney in the hideous makeup of his that is so iconic. And what they decided to do was make a colored version of that. The standard version as you can see, he's got a red bow tie and waistcoat, that's the vest. The standard version had more like a purple kind of color on the bow tie and vest, but this one, it's red, which is really nice because usually when I see images of Chaney's Phantom, I see him in a red bow tie and vest. So this character, or this figure, is about 8 inches tall, so it's kind of big, and it comes with, you can see, a cloth cape, which I think is really cool, and he's got a display stand, so it's a very nice touch to it. Real quick, I just want to apologize if he's a little dusty. I've had this guy sitting on the shelf for quite a while. Let me go ahead and remove him from the stand. So this is Lon Chaney. Let me get a close-up here. Look at that. That is just so... It's very creepy, but I like it. I love the sculpt, and I love the detail. It just looks exactly like Lon Chaney as he appeared back in 1925. Look at that, those ugly teeth of his protruding out, the nose pulled back to reveal the nostrils to give it that skeletal look. He's even got the hair with the bald spot. It is just so nice. You know, it amazes me to this day, just, you know, hearing about the stories of, you know, just the agonies that Chaney had to put himself through just to achieve this makeup, you know, having to stretch his nose with wire, which caused some bleeding, having to dilate his pupils with chemicals, you know, stuffing his mouth or his cheeks with putty, you know, just it's amazing. Just, he was willing to suffer for his art. Not many actors nowadays can do that, especially when it comes to the Phantom. And I really admire and respect the guy so much for, everything he did just to make this film just so iconic. You can see he's dressed in his classical Phantom tailcoat. Let me remove the cape here, just move it up. There's the tails. It's a very nice figure. It's very, very well detailed. Props to the guys who sculpted this figure. It's just so nicely well done. The cape is removable, but it is kind of hard to take it off, and I'm just not going to bother because you have to kind of move the arms around for just to get the cape off. As far as articulation goes, there's not a whole lot. Let me just zoom out for a moment here. That way you can, there we go. So there's not a whole lot of articulation here. You can see there's movement at the arm. There we go. The arms move, both arms. This one's in a fixed position, so I can't really do anything. The elbows can move, but not a whole lot. So there's a hinge at the elbow. And then there's also movement at the wrist. His head can move, it can rotate. Unfortunately, I do not have any of the accessories. Besides the display stand, it came with an alternate head, which has the mask and hat. I do not know where those accessories are, because generally with this figure, I don't display it with the alternate head. I just display as you see here. So I put the alternate head somewhere, so I apologize for not having that on hand. But at the same time, it's one thing I will tell you, it is kind of hard just to swap these heads. You kind of have to wrestle with it. I remember when I bought it, it was such a pain just to switch the heads, so I just decided, you know what, I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to put the other head away and just keep them displayed like this. So my apologies for that. There is somewhat of a swivel at the waist, but there's really not a whole lot of movement because, again, the tails on the tuxedo on the tailcoat hinder that movement. His legs can move also, but again, there's also some hindrance because of just the cut of the trousers of the waist here. I don't know how well you can see that. So you can't really move the legs out too much. Well, this one can, but for some reason the other one just doesn't seem to move all the way. And then there's also a bend at the knee. And there is no movement at the feet. I don't know, for some reason I thought there was movement at the feet, but I guess there isn't. And you can see his fingers are in a fixed position. It's almost like if he's pointing at, it's like in the unmasking sequence, which is so legendary, when he's pointing at Christine after removing his mask, which she was forbidden to do. It's such a very, very incredible scene. Just, when you hear about the stories of, women fainting when the movie first premiered back in 1925, it was such a ghastly sight. The unmasking scene is it's considered one of the greatest moments in the history of the horror film, and it hasn't really been matched since then. So this is a really neat figure. I'm so glad I have this one. Again, this is the paint variant, the colored paint variant of the silver screen edition. I may have to pick up the silver screen edition if I can, or even the other standard colored version. It's, even though it doesn't really look too good, but it is a Phantom collectible. But this is definitely one of my favorites. Let me take a look at the display base here. I'll bring that up. So this is what the base looks like. You can see it's got the Phantom of the Opera logo, and it's got Lon Chaney Sr. 1925. So very nicely detailed base. As you can see, it's got one peg, because he only has one peg hole right here on the bottom of his right foot, and that's how you can stand him up. And It's got a stone detail, the little carpet. It's really nice. I apologize if it's a little dusty. You know, again, I've had these both figures on the shelf just sitting there, so they've collected dust. So that is the Sideshow Collectibles Phantom figure. This one's my favorite. It's just so cool. I may even have to look around to see if I can find other figures from their Sideshow's Universal line, such as Dracula, Frankenstein. They might be a little expensive, so I know I may or may not, but there's definitely no way that this guy is going anywhere. So now let me move him to the side and bring in the other one. This is one of the most recent ones. This is the Diamond Select figure from 2012. Again, part of a Universal Monsters line that they were doing. This one I got that year, and I just happened to get it for my birthday. I got it as a birthday gift to myself. So it's funny, you know, with the Sideshow toy, I got it as a Christmas gift. This one I got as a birthday gift. This one's actually the Toys R Us exclusive. There are two versions of this figure. There's the deluxe edition and the Toys R Us exclusive one. As you can see, this figure is wearing his cape along with his hat and mask. Now, one thing I was a little disappointed about when I first got this figure was the mask is not removable, and there's not even an alternate head. I don't know why, but when I first saw this picture online of this figure, I honestly thought the mask was going to be removable, which I thought would have been so cool. But that's not what you get. And I thought to myself, well, even if the mask is not removable, at least it would be cool if it came with an alternate head. But nope. Instead, you just get a mask that is sculpted on to the head. So let me bring it up a little closer here so you can really get to see the detail. Focus. There we go. It still looks kind of creepy. Just, you know, that mask with the cloth to cover his mouth. It still has an eerie presence, but it would have been nice to have like another head, or if somehow this mask was able to be removable. It's a nicely detailed figure. Real quick, and I want to apologize in advance because once again, just like the other figure, I misplaced the accessories that this figure came with. It came with several accessories. The deluxe edition, which by the way is unmasked, I want to go ahead and add that, which is the way people recognize Lon Chaney as the Phantom. The deluxe edition came with the organ that he plays in his lair. This one, the Toys R Us exclusive edition, instead comes with a music stand, his Don Juan Triumphant music book that has, you know, the score for his music, Don Juan Triumphant. It's got a violin with the bow to use to play the violin, and it also comes with a display stand for the music stand, and even a cane. So it comes with several accessories, and of course you've got the hat and the cape, which the deluxe edition didn't have. The deluxe version, again, is unmasked, just like the Sideshow figure we just took a look at, but it doesn't have the cape. It's just, you know, his tuxedo and no mask. This one, he is in his cape, and he does have his mask and even his hat, which is removable. Let me go ahead and take that off right now. There we go. So you can see he's got the mask on, and he's even got his cap underneath. So again, it's movie accurate, which is really nice, which I like. The cape is removable. It's more of a like rubber kind of flexible plastic, I guess. I don't know what it is, but it's that kind of material. Again, just like with the other figure, I'm not going to bother taking it off because it's a pain. You just have to move the arms around just to get it off, but maybe I can. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, what do you know? Look. So this is the figure without the cape. It's nicely detailed. I like the paint job on it. You can see it's got a more, as you can see in the paint job, it's got a glossy This thing just does not want to focus right now. Maybe it's the curse of the Phantom. There we go. You can see it's done in different paint styles, in different finishes. The lapel on the tailcoat and the bow tie has a more glossy finish, so it's a gloss black. I guess it's in a way maybe to mimic satin. And the rest is painted in a more flat black. So you can see he's got his boots on, his trousers, again the tailcoat, which is really nice. He has to have that. Look at these gnarly fingers. Look at that. It's so, it's just these nasty fingers. It's so cool. I love the detail on them. I forgot to mention another accessory they came with was alternate hands. And just like with the other accessories, I don't know where they are. So, one thing I want to go ahead and talk about with this figure is Diamond Select really stepped it up in terms of the articulation for this figure. Let me remove him from his stand. I've seen some review videos of some of the other Universal Monster figures that Diamond Select produced before this one. And they were very limited on articulation. I saw a video on the Dracula and the Frankenstein's monster figures, and there really was no articulation except for some head movement and some arm movement. With this one, there's more articulation. You can see there's a ball and pin, or a ball and socket joint at the arms, at the shoulders here. There's movement at the it's got that pin and socket joint at the elbow, which is really nice, so you can see how it moves along. And there's also a movement at the wrist for both hands. Well, they can't really move that well because of the cuff of the sleeves. However, they do pivot. They move along. This is really nice. There is a swivel at the waist. And luckily, because the tailcoat, like the cape, is made of that flexible kind of soft rubbery material, it won't hinder the movement, unlike the other figure, which was a hard plastic, just like the rest of the figure. There's some movement at the thighs. You can see the legs can move out as far as well as up and down, but they can't really move too far out. There is also a swivel right here at the thighs. Bend at the knee. And then there's a somewhat, there's a swivel at the feet, but this one doesn't really move too much, but I don't want to break it, so I'm not going to bother. And then of course he's got a ball joint head. Doesn't really move up too much, and you can't really move down. I think that's just the sculpt, but oh well. It is what it is. And here's the cape. I love the paint job on the inside of the cape. It's a more darker red, whereas in the outside is black. So it's very nice. Maybe so. I'll put his hat back on. The hat's really neat. Because again, it's cool that we have a Phantom that has a removable hat. It's more of like a fedora kind of hat. I don't know, Homburg, but you get the idea. So it's a really nicely sculpted figure. I really like it a lot. It's nice. I don't have too much negative things to say about it. He comes with a display base too. It's nicely detailed. It's got like the stone texture. I love the moss detail right here. And it's got 2 peg holes, so you can just stick them on. And kind of tough to get them on. You kind of have to really because they're kind of tight. There we go. yeah, I really wish I had the accessories with them because then I could have posed them or just showed them to you. But again, I don't know where they are. I can't believe I misplaced them. I'll have to go looking around. But yeah, these are, so let me bring this guy back. So yeah, they're both Lon Chaney Phantoms, and they're completely different, but they're both really cool figures. Oh, my apologies there. Oh, I gotta be more careful. Yeah, I think they're really, I think the curse, there is some kind of a Phantom curse at hand. Maybe this Phantom doesn't want me to do this video. How could you do this to me, Phantom? I'm a big fan of yours. Anyway, so yeah, they're both completely different Phantom figures, and I just like these guys so much. And, you know, I mentioned with, you know, the Diamond Select figure that there's two of them. There's the Deluxe Edition, which is unmasked, and then there's this one, the Toys R Us one, that's masked. You know what? I'm actually glad I picked up the Toys R Us figure, because when you think about it, you know, the Toys R Us exclusive figure is presented in the mask only, whereas this one, even though you have the option of displaying with the mask on or off, I have, like I said before, I have decided that this guy will be displayed without the mask, which is how he's mostly recognized. So in a way, they complement one another. You got one figure to be displayed without the mask, and then you got another one to display with the mask. So that way you get to see both looks from the movie. So, you know, overall, I think I'm really impressed with these figures, especially this one. This one is just definitely a favorite of mine. Even though there really isn't a lot of articulation, but just the detail for me makes up for it. And it seems more like a statue in a lot of ways. So I'm really happy I got this one. And then this one, yeah, I'm happy I have it too. This one's definitely more of an action figure compared to this one, but they're still really cool. Again, Lon Chaney is just the best Phantom ever. He's definitely the person that comes to mind whenever I think of Phantom of the Opera. I really wish some toy company would, you know, but I wish they would have produced maybe like NECA or I don't know, Mezco. I wish some toy company would actually make figures of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Phantom. I'd love to see a figure like this of, you know, Michael Crawford, or maybe even Gerard Butler as the Phantom. Would be so cool. You know, it's actually, speaking of NECA, I would actually love it if NECA made a series of Universal Monster figures and include the Phantom. I think that would just be amazing, because you're going to just imagine what Universal Monster figures would look like with NECA producing them. That'd be so awesome. So that's my review of these two incredible Phantom of the Opera figures. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stick around for next week. Will be the last in my installment of my Phantom Month Phantom reviews. So until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, favorite, and I will see you all, and God bless.